Okay, the swamp mix is on. Some of it looks lighter because it's more recent. And you simply just keep dabbing and you keep layering. Everything's gonna be painted. So, don't worry about the color. If it's too light or if it's too dark. It tends to be lighter, as you can see as I'm dabbing. And then it gets dry. Some of these areas already have some texture. As you can see, the brush has a tough time. Use my fingers also. I usually, start from the bottom up because from when I started taking pictures of the vehicles outside, I realized always the best shots are from a low angle. So I always want it weathered as far as the eye can see. So if I go in a low angle, it's not gonna be suddenly clean underneath. You can use the swamp mix also. There were all these holes with the screws that attach the suspension 3D parts to the chassis. So I cover them up just in case one of those shows up, but you don't really have to because these areas here also, you don't have to weather where I'm here. It'll never be seen, but it's painted. When I'm done, what I do is I take any extra from the side of or where I store it to make sure it's clean. I seal it with a cap, and then I put a lot of packing tape. I start with an overlap, like over here, go down, come up again, and then crush it so it gets as airtight as possible. Next time I open it up, the swamp mix will be ready to go. Okay, now we're adding some paint. You can see where we are at now. The way I do it, and again, it's things you develop through the years. I'm painting in my open room, so you can imagine how messy it gets, but makes me feel comfortable. I have the air conditioning going, which filters some of the overspray. I also have a fan on a window, so it helps. And what I do is I prepare the paint, each in its bottle. I label them. You have to be careful because sometimes the paint looks similar and it isn't. In this case, after I kind of cleaned up a little bit after the swamp mix got dried, I'm working with these four colors. It's straight from the bottle, Flat Earth, from Tamiya. That's XF52. The Panzer Gray XF63. What I call my 3-dot mixture, which is something I started using only about a year ago when I was doing the Africa Core models that I did last summer. The 3 dots is half Flat Earth and half Buff. Buff is XF57, so 50-50. So it's a lighter Flat Earth. I would also have nearby Buff, but Buff is not going to be working tonight. I painted Flat Earth here and there, going over more or less where I had the splatter. I then went with this one. I didn't mention what this was. This is unlabeled, but this is my shading mix. That's what makes these like darker areas, which later when I dry brush will bring it to life. This is about half red brown and half flat black, very dark brown. Again, all my mixes are thinned with denatured alcohol, 50-50. Okay, so I first went with the flat earth. Okay, then I went with the shading. It's the shading. If there's a thing as a secret, it's that shading part, because I don't know how to explain it, but when I add the shading, it becomes like a newspaper photograph. You get half tones because you get it darker some places, not as dark in the other, and you get all these other colors that make it not uniform, and that's what you want to have when you're dirtying. A vehicle will not be uniformly uh, weathered. You know. Now I haven't used the 3 dot yet. What I'm thinking is that you have the caked in mud. You have. I look a lot of pictures, a lot of color plates, get some ideas. But generally, what you see is under the fender a lot of dust, mud, everything in these vehicles. So what I'm doing is I'm adding the lighter mix on towards the underside of the vehicle. Again, this is a process that is like layering. I go over it and over it and over it. Usually in the front and back, you see from real vehicles, the dust kind of accumulates on the edges. So that's what I do. A little bit everywhere, but later I would go dry brushing over this finish. This finish is not bad, but I like dry brushing with pure buff. It's almost white. It'll bring out the edges. It'll bring out the details. It sounds too dramatic, but the initial effect kind of gets blended away. So the idea again here is to have like a dustier, lighter color on the underside. I forgot to put that piece here, so I'm gonna have to go back and see how that goes, and then add some weathering to it, or if not, it'll look very odd. Later I will paint the exhaust. Again, this is like a dusty step. Okay.